If I may, can I have our chairman, Jim Geringer, as well as Bob, join me up here at the lectern. Bob, today we express our deepest appreciation, love, and our awe at your accomplishment. It's an honor and a privilege to present you with this honorary degree, and our chairman, Governor Jim Geringer, will help me hood you, as well as present you with that degree. Yeah.
What a great honor and privilege for me. I have had the greatest job in the world for the last 7 what has made it so special as we've sought to build a university that would meet your needs and enable you to achieve your dreams. I now have a degree from my favorite university. I was going to apologize to you graduates because I didn't have to work for this degree, but then I thought about it and decided I really had worked for this degree. In fact, there were some really significant tests along the way as well. But it has been a joy and a privilege to serve WGU, certainly the greatest job opportunity I have ever had in my life. It's a great thing to be able to choose a career and do something that you love, something that's meaningful in the world, something that makes a difference in the world and in the lives of individuals. And that's been my privilege over many years. Scott mentioned earlier that the door of history turns on small hinges, and as I was reflecting on this experience here, I think the door of our personal history also turns on small hinges. Many years ago, at the age of 22, I was 2 weeks away from attending UCLA Law School when 2 individuals, Vic Bunderson and Dusty Houston, invited me to start a nonprofit institute with them doing computer-based education and training. This, I hate to admit, was well before the launch of personal computers. I decided to forego law school. I thought for a couple of years and go do this. I could always go back to law school. We ended up spinning off a company and taking it public and running it for the next 15 years. Our auditor at that company was an individual named Charlie Johnson. And years later, Charlie was the chief of staff to Governor Mike Leavitt when they were looking for a new president for WGU. And Charlie recommended me, and for some reason, the governor accepted the recommendation. And here we are, 20 years later, with an amazing university. It would not have happened without the contribution of so many other people. People who didn't loan it, gave their time and their money and their loaned reputation to an idea and a vision. Certainly foremost among those people would be our founding governors, particularly these 3 who are seated to my left, Governor Mike Leavitt, Governor Roy Romer, and Governor Jim Geringer, who not only had the vision for this, but invested their time and energy in making it a reality. They also helped raise all the initial money for the university, and a lot was needed. I remember contributions from Scott McNeely, the chair of Sun Microsystems, who spent an hour listening to this idea, pulled out his personal checkbook and wrote a check for $500,000. More importantly, He gave the names and phone numbers of other executives in Silicon Valley and elsewhere in the technology industry, many of whom ended up supporting the university. There were others. Tim McEwen at International Thompson Publishing managed to give us a $1.4 million grant in the early years. I think it was about 2 weeks before we would miss payroll. And in those days, it would support payroll for about a year. Certainly, I must mention Senator Bob Bennett from Utah, who led efforts in Congress to support WGU with federal appropriations, and Senator Mike Enzi of Wyoming, who passed legislation which for the first time enabled distance education to be eligible for federal financial aid. Amazingly enough, that was only 12 years ago that distance education was made eligible for financial aid, partly because of the efforts of WGU. I must mention Secretary Rod Page and his Deputy Secretary Bill Hanson. Governor Leavitt and I visited with Secretary Page when we had 100 students, no accreditation, a really good idea for a teacher's college, which Secretary Page gave us a $10 million grant to create the WGU Teachers College. You almost can't imagine that happening today. Later, Governor Mitch Daniels decided to create the first state-branded WGU University, naming WGU Indiana as the 8th state university, which has since been followed by state universities in Washington and Texas, and Tennessee and Missouri and Nevada. And Scott, I hope more to come. Despite all of those people, not in spite of those people, because of those people, but even more significant would be the work of hundreds of colleagues at WGU who committed their career and their time and their expertise to serving students and to building a great university, who dedicated day after day as mentors and in many other university positions in dedicating their time and efforts to the success of students. And ultimately, all of our success is due to you, students and graduates who chose to attend WGU, and by your efforts have graduated. Many have moved on now to significant positions in teaching and nursing and business and information technology and created the reputation which WGU today enjoys. Along the way, I developed a very simple leadership principle. There's all these books on leadership, and certainly Clay Christensen is a master at it. But really it boils down to treat other people the way you'd like to be treated. And if we use that principle with our employees, with our colleagues, with our customers, in our case with students, and with each other, things will work out well. In the end, it's people that really matter. And what I will remember most about my experience at WGU are these commencements and the opportunity to congratulate so many of you as you complete a long-awaited dream of achieving a degree and moving on to career success. Finally, I would leave us only with this thought, that each of us has much to be grateful for, and it improves our quality of life as we're grateful for the opportunities we have, for the people along the way who have made a difference in our lives, who support us in our dreams and aspirations. Thank you all for all that you have done.